Welcome back, everybody. Again, this is Rodney Tate.
And I'm Justin Brooks.
And this is episode 5 of
Politics with Partners.
Let's go.
But I want to be free, But I want to be
What's first?
First thing on the agenda today, early voting has begun. If you guys have been following the page, I've already posted the sample ballot. So if you need to see who the candidates are, if you haven't voted yet, definitely take a look. It's good to go in with a game plan, knowing who you're going to vote for and what you're going to vote for or against. Okay, so that is tagged on our Facebook page. Please go take a look at it, just so you'll be prepared for early voting. Early voting does end November 1st. It began on October 17th and it will end on the 1st. So if you want to have that privilege of being able to go to any location to vote right now, so it's a little more convenient for you, get it done right now, okay?
Definitely.
All right. Election day is coming up, November 6th. November 6th is the day. Now, that's the day that you guys can actually go to your polling precinct, your district. You need to vote in your district the day of and get there early. I'm hoping that it's crowded and lines are all over the place because it's such an important vote. So let's hope that we can get that kind of turnout.
That's it.
All right. A couple things we need to know. Obviously, you need to know the candidates, but on this particular election cycle, we also have 3 ordinances being proposed by the city of Memphis. We're just going to kind of cover them pretty quickly. I know there's been a lot of confusion about them because they are kind of worded funny. We've had to read them several times to try to get a good understanding. And we're going to go ahead and get started. So City of Memphis Ordinance number 5676. It should be the first one on the ballot. It is the first one on the sample ballot. That one is to extend the term of the city council from being a maximum of 2 to a maximum of 3 4-year terms. So essentially, instead of them serving 8 years and done, they'll get 12 years if they're reelected that 3rd cycle time. I'm not going to tell you which way to go on this one, but just be mindful of the candidates that you're putting in office, and that if you think you need to what do you say? If you want someone in there for that elongated period of time, because sometimes we get stuck in our old ways, and sometimes a great leader shouldn't have to go, right? So 2 sides of the coin.
And if you want to think of it just a little bit more, imagine this: you would have potentially council members in a position for the city council of Memphis for as long as your child would be within grade school.
The entire time. So in your district, you vote them in. The year that your child enters first grade, goes into first grade, that will be your council member for your child's entire education career. So take that into consideration when you go and vote for the first ordinance, okay? That's ordinance number 5676 from the city of Memphis. All right? Yeah, we got it. All right. Second ordinance from City of Memphis is number 5669. And basically that one is basically saying to keep voting as it is now and to repeal runoff voting, which was voted on in 2008 and passed. Yep. However, we never installed the actual system of runoff voting, and now it's come back up as an issue. So that means they want to play with this now. They want to play with the idea of having runoff voting. This amendment is to repeal it and basically keep voting the way it is right now, and not in a runoff state.
And for those individuals who do not understand what a runoff vote is, basically what it's asking of you, if you would like to go and start implementing the runoff voting process, ultimately you would have up to 3 choices per elected official. So whoever you're voting for within that particular race, you would have 3 choices. You have a first choice, second choice, and a third choice. And then depending on how that fares out within future count-ups, your first choice will receive the most amount of points. Your second choice will be the second amount, and your third being the least. But ultimately, what they have implemented this process for is to prevent individuals from coming back at a later time and voting again. However, that has its ups and its downs. So again, we're not going to tell you which way to go about this, but we want to make sure that you're informed and that you know of it, so you can make a very educated decision around it.
And that's what we do here in Politics with Partners,
You
right?
better believe.
Keep them in the know.
That's it. That's it.
All right, so that is ordinance number 5669. That'll be the second one on your ballot. They usually go all the way at the end of the ballot before you vote on these. So they'll be the last thing you'll do on your voting ballot, okay? And then the final one is ordinance number 5677. And that basically is saying that the popular vote wins. It's really that simple. It says that, let's see what the actual words are here.
And hold on to your seats for this, because as my colleague said earlier, the information in some of these ordinances, they can be highly confusing, you all. So please, if you don't know or you still have problems understanding what is being asked of it, feel free to ask an individual around you. Make sure that you're reading up on this information, because again, this election is pivotal to what happens as far as the future of our country. This is, again, state election, so your governor will be elected, as well as some other high important offices within those seats. And for those who may not know the impact of it, if your governor is elected, he or she then has the power to pretty much restructure the government and how things are operated within the state in which they're elected to. So we may have a new Department of Education. We may have a new Department of Housing, of Economics, of Business. It all depends.
Yep, and here's how it's worded exactly. Shall the charter of the city of Memphis, Tennessee be amended to provide that in any municipal election held as required by law, the candidate receiving the largest number of votes shall be declared the winner, thereby eliminating runoff elections. That's exactly how it's worded. It basically means the popular vote wins. If the popular vote actually wins nationally, we'd have a different president in office right now. However, the Electoral College did that to us. So, bringing it back here, bringing it back to the scope of things here. Obviously, if you want voting to work and democracy to work, the popular vote should be the one that wins. So, I'm not going to tell you which way to vote on this one, but okay. All right. And that is all three of the ordinances that you'll see on the election ballot at the end of the ballot. Remember that the candidates are still, there's a plethora of them, but there are a lot of different districts and stuff too that you won't be able to vote for. Collierville, Germantown, Lakeland, all of those municipalities are also up for election. Our election for the city of Memphis won't be until next year because we had the
County races.
Exactly. So, and that's that.
And also, before we forget about it, Up the Vote 901, which is another one of the colleagues around within the city doing great work to increase voter awareness. We'll be hosting a slew of revolving block parties across the city to increase voter awareness. So if you're looking to come out and get a vote and get a groove on,
there we go.
Please come out and enjoy yourselves. Voting doesn't have to be this process in which it is bland or boring, or it doesn't have to matter, or doesn't really impact you, or can be impactful for you. Voting, as with school, as with life, as with anything else you do, is what you make of it. And we're hoping within this term and with the information we give in Politics with Partners, as well as other colleagues doing work across the city, that we can help make you a more interested, a more educated, and ultimately a full portion citizen of your community. So go out, you guys. November 6th. Early voting stops November 1st. If you can't get out there November 6th, please take advantage of this time period now, because there's a slew of other ways you can go out down there as well. But ultimately, just get out, show your voice, you guys. This is important stuff, and everything from this point afterward.
Let your voice be heard.
That's it.
Cast your votes.
Cash.
No vote, no voice.
What's happening, everybody? My name is Justin Brooks, and I'm here today with you again for the education situation.
Free, free, free.
So, starting off, we're not going to hold any punches, you all. Truancy. It's a big issue. It's a big issue in Memphis. Matter of fact, I read an article the other day, compliments of our partners at Chalk Beat, Tennessee, in which it talked about what's going on with truancy. Not necessarily the absences, because even though we know absences lead up to it, it's particularly the tardies in which schools are facing right now. So, for any parents out there, did you know 3 tardies end up equaling the absence? 2 absences end up equaling the limit in which your student can have per month. Because what happens at the end of the year, if they have more than 10%, then they're considered chronically absent. And what that leads up to is a lot of truancy problems. And it ends up you talking to the DA, that ends up you going to the court possibly, having to have discussions up there, your student getting extra services and to figure out why that individual is not being able to attend school on a regular basis. It leads to a whole slew of things. So to answer that and to prevent that, what we're going to do, we're going to encourage you. Make sure that your school is, 1, providing you the resources needed for your student is able to come into achieving class. But 2, make sure that when they get there on time and they get there focused and they get there able to learn. I know that this may cause a lot of things and that there are other situations that you may be coming into play about that, but it is imperative, you all, for your student to get into school and to make sure they are attending school and getting in all the things they need to do. Missing 2 days per month is shown to have research that makes negative influences and outcomes upon your students' work and the performance as an academic. The next thing upon that, though, moving on, grade tampering actually ceases within Shelby County schools. They pulled the plug upon that. There will be no longer ongoing investigation stimulating from what has happened within the past time period. And so we'll be ultimately moving on. Now, the reason for that, it states that there is not enough evidence to actually go through. However, there are some conflicting opinions upon that, especially within the electronic portion of that. However, the ultimate decision that has been made personally right now by the Shelby County school system is that those grading situations will cease and that we can try to move on and rebuild from what we have gathered and learned throughout this time period. So, if you're experiencing any grade tampering problems from this point on, I would encourage you to reach out to your district commissioner or also reach out into the Shelby County superintendent himself to talk about these issues. Moving on from there, along with all the turmoil and everything that we've received as a school system and as school systems down here, many Memphis schools are making great gains within their academic achievement and progress. We are now down to 43 schools in 2018 being on the priority list. And I know that seems like a lofty number, but that is a decrease of almost 26 schools from 2012, where it started off at 69. Gradual process, but progress nevertheless, you guys. And we want to make sure that we keep this up. iZone himself is showing a very, very productive way of handling this, of going 16 for 25, getting those schools off the priority list. So they're making great gains as well. However, our colleagues in Nashville, they may want to take a look at Memphis book currently. Nashville has an increase from 15 to 21. The mayor is not pleased about that, but I'm sure that as educational situations start evolving and learning and we start collecting and collaborating more about this, not only in Memphis but across the state, all gains can be made, and hopefully we won't have any schools on the priority list in the coming years. Speaking of that, I want to share some great schools who got awarded throughout this process. Reward schools for Shelby County include Bethel Grove Elementary, A. Maceo Walker Middle, Downtown Elementary, Germantown Elementary, German Shire Elementary. A shout out to Hickory Ridge Elementary, Holmes Road Elementary, J.P. Freeman, making good news. Lucy E. Campbell and Frazier doing great work out there. And also C.I. Elementary, Sharp Elementary, Southwind Elementary, Valentine in the Klondike Smoky City area, West Haven and White Station all made the award list. However, on the backside of this, again, we do have priority lists. And those include Trezevant High, Sheffield High, Fairleigh High School, Hillcrest High School, Woodstock Middle, Hamilton High, Hawkins Mill Elementary, and Magnolia Elementary, just as a few. If you would like more information on that, I would encourage you to look it up on your own. You can visit that website upon Chalkbeat. You can also talk with us and message us at Politics with Partners so we can get you more information upon that process. However, moving on, because there's a lot going on within the situations of education today. We're in a nitty-gritty time, you guys, and there's so much going on. So next thing we'll move on to Mace. Mace is doing a lot of great work, as you guys know, Memphis Academy for Science and Engineering. However, we just had a recent story about the principal resigning. The principal resigned 8 days after the school year began. However, parents are now understanding that it wasn't really a resignation. It was actually a decision made by the board according to what has been heard and provided through sources along Chalk Beat and through parents and the principal himself. However, in the meantime, upon that, and while they're trying to figure out situations like that, half of the football team was suspended this past weekend due to academic reasons. Now, I don't want to paint a bad picture on Mace or what's going on in the process of that, but I do think the situations when they come in, whether it be in one particular school or a multitude of schools, causes for the community to come up and actually talk about what are things going on within your specific education landscape. We need to make sure that we're wrapping around this school with resources, that we're also talking with them and understanding what are the difficulties in which they're facing, not just within students, but as staff as well, because this is a great school, you all, and it deserves to have a chance. I applaud the work that's going on at Mace, but I hope that in the midst of all these things that are going on, that we continue to push them with compassion, love, and caring to make sure they're achieving all they need to achieve. Finally, as we finish up, I want to give a shout out to the Freedom Awards with Joe Biden, Reverend Jesse Jackson, and J.R. Pitt Hyde were recognized. Mr. Hyde is known for his philanthropy down here within the Memphis area, especially within the educational sector, funding a multitude of portfolios and equities. And lastly, free college and tuition in Tennessee. Now, this is an interesting story I picked upon, you guys, but I think it needs more emphasis. Free college and tuition in Tennessee is ultimately free for every community college across the state. However, what the story has picked up on, that is not exactly equitable for all students involved. So, of course, tuition itself is getting paid, but aside from that, what other costs as a college student that you may have, such as dorm residence, right? Meal plans, the supplies itself. I know I spend upwards of almost $500 every semester for books, right? What if you don't have those expenses? So is the process of going to college free even viable at that point, right? Because if I don't have the books to continue in the course, if I can't stay on campus, if I'm homeless, right, but I'm still going to school, where's the balance and prospects of that? So that was something that they wanted to look at, and it's something that I feel that each person should have questions upon. We're already halfway through the semester. The next semester will be coming up soon. We'll have another slew of graduates coming out. So these are some questions that you need to ask, not just of your local government, not just of your local university or community college, but also of your state government. What are the things that we need to do as a community to make sure that we're embracing education, that we're bringing out the best in our landscape, and that the issues in which we face as a collective are being addressed in an efficient and positive way. So I know that was a lot, you guys, but that's all I got. It's a big situation, but that's the thing with education. And I'm glad that I can share it with you here on Politics with Partners. I'm Justin Brooks, and I'll catch you next time.
All right, partners, that's the end of this episode. This is episode 5 of Politics with Partners, and we want to bid you guys adieu. Remember, go out and vote. Make sure you get those voices heard, okay? A couple reminders. We do have a live stream coming up. It's going to be our pre-election show. It's going to be a live stream November 3rd, 3 days before the election.
Boom.
3 days so we can get in your ear, get in your brains, make sure that you don't forget that election day is on November 6th. It's a big, big election, so let's make sure we all get out there and we make our duties known and get them done. All right.
Definitely.
Want to remind them about the block party?
Definitely. And also on November 6th, as if voting wasn't already a big reason enough to get you out and make sure that you do your duty as a citizen, there will also be a rotating slew of block parties done by Up the Vote 901. If you would like more information on that, please text hashtag Up the Vote 901. That's all together. And you can text that to 797979. You should receive some text notifications, and you should be in the loop from that point on. We'll be active as well, making sure that we're out and about doing our duties and serving the community as well. But we hope that as you get out and you explore these options, the candidates, the ballots, the resolutions, all the things involved within this cycle, that you not only embrace it, but you also use it to make sure that you are making sure that your voice is heard and that you're representing politics with politics.
There it is. There it is. Now, we want to leave you with one thing that Keith Ellingston said. Not voting is not a protest. It's a surrender. See you guys later.